Gentlemen, citizens of the universe, this is Roster Watch. My name is Alex Dunlap, joined today by Cody Carpentier and the Trash Man, along with Roster Watch co-founder, our good friend and CEO Byron Lambert is live. You can't see him here if you're watching on YouTube's because he is driving through Alligator Alley in Florida. Stopped for us to give us a little bit of an update from Miami Dolphins camp, where they're having joint practices with the Jacksonville Jaguars as the Roster Watch training camp tour continues. We're going to find out what's going on there. But first, we need to remind you to go to rosterwatch.com, download the Ultimate Draft cheat sheet. The Ultimate Draft cheat sheet at rosterwatch.com is the only tool that you're going to need this weekend for your fantasy football drafts. Make sure that you follow the 3 simple rules at the very top of the sheet of paper. And whenever you do, an expert quality draft is guaranteed. Don't panic this weekend. Don't worry that you're not up to date with all the news. Don't ever get in this spot where you get on the clock and you don't know who to pick. That's a good value. That's going to be a good player. That's going to help you win. Have me and Cody and Trashman and Byron right there with you. It's just $9.99. Go to rosterwatch.com. Get the Ultimate Draft cheat sheet by signing up for a pro membership. Again, like it's $9.99, and it's the best way to support us.
And Cody will actually probably drive to go do your draft with you.
Yeah, well, I can't guarantee that. I can't speak for Cody, but I think he will. All right, Byron, driving across Florida. You've just taken in the Miami practices, the joint practices with the Jaguars. How are you, brother? Driving safe?
Barely, man. It's definitely, you're in Florida when you got these thick afternoon sheets of rain and lightning everywhere, and you're in an area called Alligator Alley, and you just wrapped up a Jaguars Dolphins practice.
All right. Like anything right off the bat, like before we get into anything specific, any wide overarching things or things that we should know about the practice before we kind of dive in here to specific players?
Well, of course, it's how these things goes. It never fails. No Travis Hunter today. He was being held out of practice, precautionary. Uh, no Tyreek Hill or Achan today. So those guys were absent. But I would say the headliner, as I see it, was probably at the running back position. I mean, I think if you really had to split hairs, you'd have to leave practice today saying that Travis Etienne is the starter, quote unquote, for the Jaguars. And boy, I probably don't have to tell you guys, but man, Ollie Gordon, that guy is damn good.
Well, okay, so that's interesting that you bring it up, and we all know, of course, about Ollie Gordon, and certainly we thought he looked better in 2023 at Oklahoma State than he looked at 2024. That was an abomination of a football team overall in his final season there with those guys. But to see Ollie Gordon at the height of his powers, if you'd asked after the 2023 year, I mean, we were interested in taking that guy in our dynasty and our Devy leagues at just the very, very top of the board. He's definitely an awesome prospect. Now we have the deal with we have Devon Achane, who is basically to me gone from like a windmill 360 dunk at the beginning of the second round, right, to where now he's got this calf issue that I'm just terrified about. Especially given his size and the way that they use him. You have Alexander Madison, who's out for the season. Now Jalen Wright today at practice apparently leaves practice. Some of the reporters there in Miami were talking about how the limp looked pretty significant. I know that Omar Kelly did. What do you think, Byron? Like, what did you think about and so was Ollie Gordon just getting all the run, like with no Jalen Wright? And then what about Jalen Wright? Did that look bad to you? Did you see much of it?
No, I mean, they were both participants in the majority of practice. I think if you really had to split the hairs, which of course is what we do, you'd have to say Jalen Wright was playing ahead of Ollie Gordon slightly. I mean, he was ahead in the rotations in the positional drills and some of the 7-on-7s and, some of the key situational periods. He was the first guy out with Tua and the first team, but Ollie Gordon was in right behind him and got plenty of run with the first team as well. And it sort of feels like, look, Jalen Wright looked pretty good, and he didn't get injured until the end of practice. I don't know how bad the injury was. sort of seems like it might be precautionary considering how thin they are at the running back depth chart right now. And probably the rookie needs the reps more than Wright does. But, look, to be fair, Wright looked competent. He's a good looking kid. He caught the ball pretty well. He didn't really blow me away with, with any of the plays in the run game today. But, he was definitely involved. And I'd say technically still playing a little bit ahead of Ollie Gordon in the rotations. I'd have to say that sort of feels like maybe it's just a vestige of like a veteran hierarchy on the depth chart at this point. But I mean, Ollie Gordon's just a dude that really, really stands out on the field. I mean, he's big. He's bigger, much bigger than they don't have another back like him with Madison on the shelf. I mean, Ollie Gordon is their big back, and he has through the line of scrimmage like that makes your eyes it opens your eyes a little bit when you see that dude burst through the line of scrimmage, which is something we look for in running backs is that short area burst. But like the other key areas we look for with running backs are we always want running backs who can shed contact. Ollie Gordon put that on full display today, shucking tacklers and shedding contact very, very well. And I think the thing that stood out the most to me about Ollie Gordon, he was phenomenal catching the football today. So you start to put all those pieces of the puzzle together. And I mean, I don't know. You guys would have to tell me scouting him in college. I'm assuming being one of the bigger bodied backs on the roster, he may be one of their best pass protectors as well. I didn't really get to see that on full display today. You guys might have some more insight, but it seems like his body type would certainly lend it to that. So you start to kind of stitch all that evidence together and you're like, whoa, this guy is damn good. And he's going to be really hard for these coaches to keep him on the shelf all season.
Okay, well, look, I want to let these other guys ask some questions, but I also want to just ask about this about Ollie Gordon, to you, Byron, or to either of you guys. Do you think with this news, and obviously we're updating the cheat sheets right now. If you have drafts this weekend, they're going to be updated. Make sure you have the latest update because it could be there's one today, then one Friday, then maybe multiple on Saturday. You just never know. I've been thinking about making a move on Ollie Gordon to where you can get Ollie Gordon at the very end of your draft. You can get him at the very end of your draft. And Cody, I'm wondering, since they've been dying for a goal line presence there. They've even tried that. Tyreek Hill is telling McDaniel, like, why do you keep putting in Achane there? It's like out in the media that the players are telling him you can't have Achane down at the goal line at the preseason game, not last week. They gave Jalen Wright a bunch of different shots early on to try and get in. He got stuffed at the goal line a couple times before getting one red zone touchdown. But then Ollie Gordon comes in later in the game. His first goal line touch, he looks like Ollie Gordon just blasting through there. He's a bigger back. He looks like he could be in that role. And if there's a chance he could be in that role, I think that's got to be worth something at the very end of drafts, especially given the contingent upside you would have if Jalen Wright is more banged up than we thought. If Devon Achane misses time, all of a sudden Ollie Gordon could be a guy that you're looking at as like, man, I can get this dude in my flex.
Yeah, I think in the half and standard sheet, Ollie Gordon, I made a play on a move up a little bit about a week ago, ahead of the tier of the Woody Marks. Woody Marks in the third down role in Houston, bumped him ahead of the Brashad Smith, Jerome Ford, Kendre Miller, Roshan area. It's not like it's not a super bullish play. We're not getting up to the Braylon Allen conversation or anything like that, but he is next to Josh Palmer, next to Marquise Brown, kind of Alec Amander in that 14th, 15th round conversation, right? But honestly, the quarterbacks too. That's kind of where the quarterback comes into play with Goff and Purdy and Hunter Henry and things like that. So I like where Ollie Gordon's at. I think we have a good value on him. And like you said, I think they brought up the Brian Robinson thing this last week about the potential of them trading for him. I don't know how much sense that really makes when you think about the injuries to Achane and Wright, and you have Gordon there being that 225-pound runner. But yeah, I feel really good about getting Ollie Gordon. Man, this is a Doak Walker Award winner. If I go back and read the write-up that we had on him this spring, some of the notes that we had resemble exactly what Byron's talking about. Pros, natural pass catcher in all quadrants, very underrated athlete, like proven ability to be a college offense's complete focal point. Like it all makes a lot of sense to us. And obviously, Alex, we've seen him play the last couple of years against Texas and struggled last year because another note that's in here is the offensive line play was horrendous and the quarterback play was even worse at Oklahoma State last year.
Trash man, what's on your mind as far as this camp?
I mean, just with Ollie Gordon, who I really like, I just tend to think that like this, and then in this offense, and the way this coach likes to run his team, speed kills with him. He likes smaller, faster guys, and he brought Gordon in. But does it seem like he will? Like what kind of action did Gordon get with the ones, if any? Was there any? I mean, like. I feel like the way he has his teams designed, his offense is designed, it's just, I don't know that Gordon, the more I think about it, is the kind of fit that we would usually see in an offense of this type.
Hold on. He actually reminds me of sort of a Raheem Mostert, who we've seen in that offense. They sort of that upright, 6 foot plus body. He doesn't have Mostert's speed. Yeah, and he doesn't have quite that speed, but he sort of reminds you a little. I'll put it this way. Look, this is maybe irrelevant because Achane is the starter. I'll put it this way. If there was no Achane on this team, you'd sort of be licking your chops about Ollie Gordon right now, based on what I saw. So yes, he was getting run with the ones today, Dorian.
Okay.
All right. Cody, what do you got?
I got a question, Byron, about the other backfield, the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield, because I went on 1010XL the other day and was talking to Hacker about it. He said that they were going to keep 4 running backs in Jacksonville. And obviously everybody knows that there's kind of this awkward situation with Travis Etienne in his contract year, Tank Bigsby being Tank Bigsby. They go out, get Bashal Tootin in the 4th round. They get LaQuint Allen from Syracuse in the 7th round. He said they're going to keep all 4 dudes. You come in earlier and say that Travis Etienne was the lead back. Did any of these guys stand out, or was Travis Etienne just kind of like the de facto, lead bell cow here?
I think he was sort of the de facto starter. I mean, he was clearly the starter today.
Was he an effective starter?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think he kind of looks like the best running back still on the team. I think the key thing is not only was he technically the starter. I mean, Bigsby's in short order behind him. So, I mean, obviously, timeshare, they're both going to play with the one or situational, whatever it was, whatever period they were in. Etienne was consistently the first guy out with Trevor Lawrence. I think he moves probably the best of the bunch. And the thing that really stood out to me is not a huge surprise is that Etienne was very clearly the guy that was getting the work in the passing game. And, of course, for fantasy, that we're pretty interested in that piece. That said, I don't think you can really, I mean, what is he? I think you would draft him as like a flex. You wouldn't want Etienne as your RB2. And I think he's a flex potentially.
Well, yeah, nobody wants Etienne as an RB2, but I do think that, if we consider kind of where he's going right now, he's going in the he's going in the basically the 8th round of drafts, mid 8th round, around the same time as dudes like Jordan Mason, who Cody thought from Vikings camp looks like almost like a 30-70 split type guy with Aaron Jones. If we're talking about an offense that could be ascending here, and if we listen to the coach speak from what Liam Cohen said about Etienne, you look at what the preseason usage was in the last one, or in the one before last, in the first preseason game. You just say to yourself, like, I think that the stuff is. I just always find it hard to believe these camp reports that Tank Bigsby is going to be the starter. Whenever it's like the stuff we've heard the whole time, the drumbeat's been a little bit more for Travis Etienne. I don't know, Cody. Do you like Etienne in the 8th?
Real quick though, Byron, was Etienne in on all the goal line packages? Did Bigsby get more action there? They leave Etienne in.
I mean, I wasn't able to note every rep like when they were in a run play at the goal line. I mean, that might lend itself to Bigsby, but Etienne was certainly very involved in the red zone sessions.
All right, so ETN's ADP right now in half and standard is 90. Bigsby's 113, and Bashal Tootin, the fourth rounder, what the hell number was he? 30?
I think he's
33.
Okay.
33. And so he's right there at 142 overall in half and standard, which is higher than Trey Benson, higher than Dylan Sampson, Jalen Wright, who you saw, obviously much further ahead than Ollie Gordon. His ADP is a little bit higher than the general, third running back on a roster. And the last couple of games, he's gained positive yardage in 18 out of 19 preseason touches with no negative plays. He's got some buzz. And, when I'm building the sheet, he kind of just has to be in a certain spot where we're not really getting him a lot, but you have to respect him. And I just wonder, is he a guy that we should even pay attention to? Or the ETN thing sounds to me like around Jordan Mason, Quinshon Judkins, that's the play. And it's that we should probably fade off this Bashal Tootin thing. Did he have any pop at all?
Well, we can have people saying you're damn tooting about this guy, aren't they? I'll tell you what, he got a little bit of action, and I noticed him the most, actually. He caught a couple of passes that he made some decent plays on, is sort of where I saw him show out a little bit. That said, I think he was like very, very clearly the third guy. So I don't see how you can possibly really be interested in drafting him. Now, if you told me that I can get ETN in round 8 or Bigsby in, like, what is that, round 9 or 10, I
Yep.
actually think both of those dudes are like, those are good. Those are solid values. I would be open to drafting either of those players at those ADPs. And I mean, I think 8th round Travis Etienne, I mean, it might not be a league winner, but like that's a pretty solid pick.
Byron, what about what about just the pass catchers in general? We can talk about Miami, but just what about Jacksonville? No Travis Hunter. Did you notice, was Brian Thomas Jr. out there? Did he look like himself? And then what about did you notice anything with like Brenton Strange, the tight end?
Parker Washington?
Any of these other guys pop off to you at all?
Yeah, so Parker Washington was the guy who slid in for Travis Hunter today. He pretty much soaked up all those reps. De'Ami Brown, clearly, definitely sort of like in that starting mix as their third wide receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. looked awesome. That guy is silky smooth, super explosive, made plays in the end zone, made a big play down the.
All right. So it sounds like we've lost Byron. Okay. But the good news is what you can do is you can go to the RosterWatch YouTube page. Byron's going to have his whole report up. So he'll be able to kind of keep you up to date there with some of the important things that he kind of took away from being at camp today. Remember, go to rosterwatch.com, download the ultimate draft cheat sheet. It's super simple. Again, 3 steps that are going to help you dominate your fantasy football draft. It's going to be updated throughout the day, throughout the weekend. We know it's the biggest weekend of fantasy football drafts. We need to make sure that we have this thing in your hands with all the most up-to-date news, everything that we're hearing from all the various camps, from all the various news sources, and most importantly, just with these ADPs that just keep shifting so quickly and so crazily. Unfortunately, with a lot of these players that we had been targeting, so we need to make sure that we're always getting them at value. That's how you can dominate, using the ultimate draft cheat sheet at rosterwatch.com. We have the super flex sheet, we have the half PPR sheet and standard, and we also have, of course, the PPR sheet. You can use them in auctions, you can use them in your snake leagues, use them however you want. Just remember, do not bastardize our beautiful sheets, our maniacal little wonderful inventions by breaking the rules.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to Roster Watch.